研究紀錄劇場，不得不提德國。呢種戲劇形式同彼斯卡特同布萊希特嘅史詩劇關係密切。20年代發展，60年代成形，去到90年代再度蓬勃起嚟，更喺國際上大放異彩。
When you first started to use the term documentary, it was because we're making a performance with very old ladies, 80s plus. They just didn't understand, and so at some point we used the word documentary.
Documentary theatre deals with, quite often deals with perspectives on history or on social issues that are not mainstream, but you can have documents that nobody knows or have got forgotten or something like that.
But I understand what people mean when they label it. And documentary, they mean it's related to reality and not to literature. That's what they mean in a way, yeah? And in that way, of course, that's it. It's theatre of the real, it's taken out of the real.
But the attempt is not really to create a documentary, because documentary have to be very committed, first of all, to almost show objective reality, and we never try to do it, we always tell a story.
I think we have lots in common with documentary theatre, but would not maybe name us that.
顯然，呢一批喺華文界相當有名嘅當代紀錄劇場藝術家，對紀錄劇場嘅定義有好大嘅出入。咁究竟乜嘢係紀錄劇場？而呢一批藝術家創作嘅起點又喺邊一度？
And it's a very tricky way of telling stories. It's art. What do you want? It's documentary art. Yeah. First of all, there's a question. How could a cruel deed like this, how could it happen? The situation for the research in the very beginning was very challenging because there was a wave of press covering in the village where the murder case happened. Some people were reluctant, even when I said theatre. So, for example, I went to the parents of the perpetrators, and they said after 4 weeks, it took 4 weeks, they agreed I can show up there with the dramaturg. And so we spoke, and in the very end of the conversation, after 4 hours, the mother asked me, "Will you come back?" So I knew there's a little bridge of trust which was built.
Yeah, it's a long research.
Yeah, and then
I wouldn't call it perhaps research. It's more like immersion, or it's more like knowing things by living it. A bit everything is happens at the same moment. It's not that I say, okay, this is a topic I'm interested in, let's make 2 weeks of research, then let's make 2 weeks of writing down the piece, then let's search people, and then let's stage it, and then let's show it. Perhaps it's the other way around, that I find some people and I think, it would be interesting to go with them to Israel. And then we go to Israel, and we meet somebody else.
The new thing was that some of the founding members of Shishi Pop started actually from saying, we want to talk about ourselves, we want to tell our own biography, our own story. They used records, they used books that they quoted, but they also told a lot of personal stories. And that was very unusual at the time.
Because we put ourselves as the examples on stage. Of course, we try to look for a question that we find relevant.
So I like people to discover things on the stage as it is happening in 100%. And it's always very exciting to go to a city and I'm able to meet 100 people that represent the entire city, and I can ask questions and I will get a kind of a representative answer from them. So it's a very fast way of getting a portrait of the city. So this is the statistical side of it. But obviously what really makes it interesting is then to have people where normally numbers are. To see this particular woman, for instance in Gwangju in South Korea, I was very impressed by a woman who had been abused by Japanese during the war. So she was very old, so she was one of the last survivors of this generation, and she openly spoke about it on stage. And she did and gave it a face. So this was very touching for me, but also for the whole, especially for the whole audience.
It was about a group of people dealing with their past or with their biographies, and in that sense it was always had a real reference to their real stories.
So we figured out in the rehearsal process that the most honest way would be to actually talk about this trip we did together, because we thought it would be hypocrite to talk about why did this war happen, who started it, or all kind of discussions like that. We could talk truthfully about what were our experiences. So once we started devising scenes, taking texts that the actors wrote, when Yael made up dialogues, conversations that can happen on stage, a moment starts where the documentary research and fantasy start to mix together.
We always keep some kind of a gap between what is actually real and what is made up, or what is inspired by the real biography of the actors. There is like a genre in cinema called mockumentary. So I would say it's more of a mockumentary than a documentary.
藝術家以政治議題出發，或者以個人嘅經歷去創作，融合真實同想像嘅故事，甚至將素人帶上舞台等等，都同華文界一直標榜追求真相嘅紀錄劇場形式有所偏差。英文 documentary 亦可以指文獻或者文檔，令到紀錄劇場嘅定義更為複雜。
Do you see your work documentary theatre?
I mean, it's a difficult term, because documentary means that there were some document before and then you constructed the play on it. For me, it's in one play the case from 50 plays that I found a document, and where you could say it's documentary. And when the documentary theatre was invented in the 60s, there were so much documents not in mass media, not present, so they presented it on stage. For that moment, we don't have theatre is not an informational tool. We don't have to leak on theatre-like information. We can do it on internet.
Yeah.
So we don't have to use theatre for this.
有趣嘅係，另外一位德國紀錄劇場導演 Hans Werner Krasinger 就以文黨之間嘅矛盾入戲。佢嘅作品被稱為文獻劇，由文字或者語言裡面揾出權力嘅關係，突顯暴力嘅源頭。雖然形式各異，但係呈現體制嘅暴力，的確係德國紀錄劇場嘅常見主題。
So we have to look in the different layers and levels of the origin of violence, and also in the structural sense, in terms of the money system. It's another form of violence.
Moments of violent transition in society, like genocide, like civil war, like child abuse. Because I think that in these transitional moments, they are, of course, dramatic, and the real, let's say, behavior of humankind comes out.
So, in the kick, it's a question of minorities who don't get recognition, who think by right extremist attitudes. So, of course, it's disgusting. But we have to understand why people think like this. In this very simplistic way, we have to look into the structures of violence, into why people are as they are.
In Eastern Congo, they will say to you, there is no war. We are in a post-war era, there is nothing, but you will find massacres anywhere. And then I ask myself, but what is the antagonism? What is the reason? What is the war? who are the enemies in this war, and then I made this tribunal to show it, to make visible what is behind the scenes. And that's what also perhaps documentary theatre can do, translate like chaotic reality in a dramatic situation.
無可否認，咁多位藝術家嘅作品都同現實世界有某種直接嘅聯繫，甚至係策略之一。目的係去衝擊觀眾對所身處世界嘅認知。
When we started working here in Gorky, we took it as our mission to open up for the diversity that exists in the city, to bring protagonists on stage, and backstage means actors, writers, directors who have maybe a different point of view on our society, on our reality, who bring different stories, different narratives due to their biographical background, orientations, sexual, religious orientations, due to migration stories within the families.
紀錄劇場集合眾多類型嘅文本同埋資料，結構複雜，形式迥異，並冇公式可言。反觀喺香港，暫時可見嘅紀錄劇場作品，側重喺戲劇嘅起承轉合。比起戲劇性，德國藝術家似乎更加着重劇場性。所以呢次訪問最終所關注嘅，又返去劇場本質嘅討論。
I mean, theatre is, what is theatre? What is theatre? It's about the situation of being in the same room at the same time. I mean, what brings all together, what is theatre? I would say that's it. That's somebody's present who's looking to somebody's present who's playing. And that's what theatre is. It's just about the situation. It's about, I mean, theatre is like a symbolic room where you can play out things you couldn't play out in reality.
I believe that theatre is a life form of art. The more immediate I can get people close, the more close I can get them to something that I think is really exciting to look at, the more I am happy about the result. It has to keep inventing new forms of live interaction.
And so it's, again, theatre is like an island, a very specific island in terms of research. It's a chance for complexity, it's a chance for a demanding way of telling a story in terms of layers, in terms of structure, in terms of contradictions. And for me, theatre is a gift. It's a gift in terms of having the possibility to offer a much more challenging way of telling stories.
And I mean, theatre is a powerful tool because it can really talk about social and political phenomena through a very personal story or through an emotion, and make people approach thoughts and ideas not through the intellect. That that the fact that common ground could work in Taipei is not because people in Taipei are closer to the war in Yugoslavia, because the human element and the story is the same when you move it from one place to another. And in that sense, it puts politics out of its narrow context and it's put it on the more human level.
While with us, it's more like we want to create a space where things are possible. It's more like an utopian space. Like we try to set up rules for communication that is not every day, for example.
And it can't happen outside of the artificial frame of theatre.
So the artificial frame is very crucial. Like we need the theatre frame for what we do, and it's not so much about authenticity of a document. We want to put it in a situation that is not authentic, but is more utopian or open.